I'm Nancy Murray. I'm an audiologist and a speech-language pathologist, and I'm here today to talk about what it's like to have APD. So, what is APD? APD is an auditory processing disorder, or sometimes called central auditory processing disorder. When we talk about that, you need to understand what auditory processing is. And defined, or the simplest way to define it, is to say it's what the brain does with what the brain hears. When talking about auditory processing, someone says something, the ears take in the message and it passes through to the brain to be understood. For most people, it seems pretty simple. But if there is a disruption in that passing the information from the ear down the line through the brain, there are auditory processing problems. We all know what it is like to mishear something. It happens to all of us. But when it happens all of the time or on a regular basis, it becomes a problem. Almost all of us use cell phones. Think of the last time you had a cell phone call and there was a delay in the message coming through, or it sounded muffled, or there was a lot of noise in the background making it really hard to hear. You had to fill in that message. Your brain had to work really hard to get the message in. And if you were filling it in, sometimes you probably guessed correctly, sometimes not. How hard was it for you to fill that in? How difficult was the conversation? Did you end up telling the person that you needed to call them back when you got to a better spot or when there was less noise? That's how it can be for people with auditory processing disorders. They hear things muffled. They hear noise in the background. So I'm here talking directly to you, but if there was a lot of noise back here, and if it was interfering with what I was trying to say or what I'm listening to, I might get distracted or I might get misinformation to my brain. I have had a lot of people describe all of these situations to me when they come in to be evaluated. A few of my teenagers say that people talking farther away sound closer than actually the person that's talking directly to them. They can't hear what they're saying, they're hearing everything else, and it becomes incredibly frustrating. It's also incredibly confusing. Think of being in a classroom, in a restaurant situation, and you're constantly working, getting confused with the message, not being able to follow the conversation. It's a lot of brain work. I have auditory processing problems. It's like swimming upstream, always catching up. Someone will say something, someone will ask me something. I immediately say, "What?" And then I answer the question or respond. I didn't need to rehear it. I needed more time to process the information. Think of a classroom. What if a teacher says, "Please raise your hand," but the student hears, "Please change your plan"? And that is a real example. Again, it results in confusion. The student is not going to respond how the teacher expected. The teacher disciplines the student, but the student didn't even know what the instruction was. It can result in a lot of problems. These types of situations can be so frustrating for everyone. APD causes miscommunication. One person said one thing and the other person heard it as something else. It can result in arguments, learning problems, behavioral issues, and more. Guess what though? APD is treatable.